Welcome to Juche Lessons. I am Comrade Shane, and on today's episode, I will discuss why one of the most important principles to maintain the independent stand in revolution is to establish Juche in ideology. General Secretary Kim Jong-il said, quote, "To establish Juche in ideology means having the consciousness that one is the master of the revolution and construction, thinking and doing everything centering on the revolution in one's own country, and acquiring the viewpoint and attitude of solving all questions by one's own talents and initiative." Unquote. To establish Juche in ideology has three contents: to have the consciousness that one is the master of the revolution and construction, to think and do everything centering on the revolution in one's own country, and to acquire the viewpoint and attitude of solving all questions by one's own talent and initiative. Firstly, it means to have the consciousness that one is the master of the revolution and construction. To have the consciousness that one is the master of revolution and construction means to have a standpoint and attitude that the revolution and construction is for the people and should be done by the people. That is because the revolution and construction is the work to realize the people's independence. The people should have a standpoint and attitude to take part in the revolution and construction as masters. Only then can they devote themselves to the revolution and construction. Secondly, to establish Juche in ideology means to have a standpoint and attitude of thinking and doing everything centering on the revolution in one's own country. This means to have the standpoint and attitude of thinking about the revolution in one's country first and conducting it in the interests of the revolutionary forces in the country. In other words, it means to make everything serve the revolution in one's country. Whatever we learn and produce, we should do so for the revolution in our country and nation and its further development. The study of science and technology should be done also to serve the revolution in one's country and achieve victory in the revolution. When we build a house, we should do so according to the taste of the people, and when we do ideological work, we should make it relevant and serve the interests of one's country and nation. Thirdly, to establish Juche in ideology means to have a standpoint and attitude of solving all questions by one's own talents and initiative. As the revolution is for the masses themselves, one cannot depend on others. If they do, it can and will bring ruin to the revolution and country. Here is an example that happened in the period when Korea became a colony of Japanese imperialists. In 1905, the Japanese imperialists made up the USA V Treaty, and took away the rights to diplomacy from the feudal Reed dynasty, and openly interfered in Korea's internal affairs. Infuriated at this, the Korean people conducted an anti-Japanese voluntary struggle and patriotic cultural movement to fight against Japanese imperialist invasion in Korea. While the people fought a bloody struggle against the Japanese imperialists, a few people, including Ri Jun, tried to restore the country by gaining support and sympathy of the US and Western imperialists. So 3 representatives, including Ri Jun, participated in the World Peace Conference in Hague, the Netherlands, on behalf of Ko Jong, the then King of Korea. They tried to expose Japanese aggressive policy and gain international support against the Japanese imperialists in the conference. But in the conference, the Western imperialists were on the Japanese side. So, Korean diplomacy was handed over to the Japanese according to the Usul 5 Treaty, refusing to recognize Korean representatives. Ri Jun, who was excluded from the talks because of this, came to know that Western imperialists were on the side of the Japanese imperialists, and felt that dependency on others leads to ruin. He tragically committed suicide instead of returning to Korea. After this incident, Japanese imperialists expelled the king and completely occupied Korea. This shows us that depending on others without believing in one's strength leads to failure in the struggle for liberation and revolution. Dependency on foreign powers leads to ruin. Why is it necessary to establish Juche ideology then? It is because the people in a given country are the masters of their revolution and construction, and to carry out the revolution successfully is the main task of the people in that country. The people's struggle for independence takes place with a country and nation as a unit. This being the case, the masters of the revolution in each country are the people in that country. The revolution in each country is caused by the urgent desire and demand of the people in that country, not by instruction from others. And no others than the people in that country and nation can be the masters of their revolution. Revolution cannot be imported and exported. And by the way, this is also the case for nations that are within what we communists call prison house of nations, such as the United States and Canada. These colonial projects do not constitute a nation, but they are a country. They are a prison house country that has many, many nations. And the former settlers and foreign people, from the perspective of these imprisoned nations, they cannot wage revolution on behalf of the First Nations. Because, as I just said, no others than the people in that country and nation can be the masters of their revolution. It cannot be imported or exported. And as each country is linked with other countries, a revolution in one country may have influence on others and can help others. In regards to revolution, however, the only masters of each country are the people in that country. If the people, masters of the revolution, do not rise, it is useless as watering a dead tree, regardless of how big foreign support is. The people in each country are masters of their revolution, which is their main task. Under this condition, they should have consciousness that they are the masters of the revolution and construction, and should think and do everything centering on the revolution in their country, and acquire the viewpoint and attitude of solving all questions by their own talents and initiative. This is what it means to establish Juche in ideology, and it is necessary to establish Juche in ideology because when each country succeeds in its revolution, they contribute to and become links in the chain of international proletarian revolution. The International Proletarian Revolution, or World Revolution, is the struggle for people's independence in the international arena. The World Revolution wins final victory in the process in which each country wins its independence and carries out its revolution successfully. This, however, does not mean that the World Revolution is a mechanical collection of the revolution in each country. In the aspect of world revolution, the revolution in each country is a chain of the world revolution, and it develops in close link with the world revolution. The revolution in each country and nation, however, has its independent development. Just as marathon runners start at the same time and run the same track, there is a difference in speed. And so this is the case with revolutions in each country. We cannot force an acceleration because, again, the people in that country and nation are the only masters of revolution. So outside forces cannot directly accelerate the revolution in one country. Then how is it possible that complicated revolutionary movements that started differently in different circumstances win world revolutions simultaneously? Well, as I mentioned, and with the chain analogy as it highlights, the world revolution is not abstract or separate from the revolution in each country. It is linked with the revolution in each country like a chain. When the people in each country complete their revolution, it also hastens the victory of world revolution. And when the victory of revolution in each country is hastened, so is the victory of the world revolution. Success of revolution in one country enables them to then help others with practical experience, ideological wealth, and solidarity. It is ridiculous to talk about a, quote, world revolution without success in one's own revolution. For victory in the world revolution, each country should carry out its revolution successfully, and for this purpose, it is necessary to establish Juche in ideology.
휘파람 청각 휘파람
To establish Juche in ideology is the primary requirement in the struggle for independence. When Juche is established in ideology, it is possible to adhere to the principle of independence in politics, self-sufficiency in the economy, and self-reliance in defense. The revolution and construction are conscious activities of the people for independence. When the people have the consciousness that they are the masters of the revolution and construction, think and do everything centering on the revolution in their own country, and acquire the viewpoint and attitude of solving all questions by their own talents and initiative, they work in a responsible way for the success of their own revolution. To establish Juche in ideology as a prerequisite thus enables the masses to implement the principle of independence in politics, self-sufficiency in the economy, and self-reliance in defense. That's all for this episode. Thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you have any ideas for future videos you'd like to see on the channel, please leave your suggestions in the comments. Be sure to check out our other, more casual entertainment focused channel on Juche Gaming if that is your bag, and our other social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. One last thing, as an independent creator, my work on all channels and platforms is sustained through the generous donations of supporters and comrades, and allow me to focus as much time as possible on content creation. My PayPal is in the description of this video for anyone who is able and would like to contribute. Thank you. Red salute, comrades.
휘파람 정갈 휘파람을 부는 것이 제일 좋은가봐. 고향마을 물길 공사 대발밭 때도 휘파람을 불어가며 날려보냈네. 휘파람 휘파람을 불어가며 날려보냈네. 늠름하고 씩씩한 휘